areas. Elsie, local transport.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks both for your time today. Decisions on local transport planning might seem quite technical to some people, but they can obviously have stark impacts on people's lives. In my constituency, for example, I've been campaigning for a new express bus service into Manchester city centre. Certainty from the department when it comes to local transport plans would enable local authorities to make better funding decisions for the longer term. We've been waiting for new LTP guidance for some time now. Will this be communicated soon?
Yeah, I expect to publish this after the spending review and to align it with the work that we're doing on the integrated national transport strategy as well, and to look at some updated guidance around quantifying carbon reductions as well. And so that will all be coming later this year.
Excellent. You preempted my next question. So that previously seemed very close to being published, that quantifiable carbon reduction guidance. So you can confirm that will be published at the same time as the LTP guidance?
That's the plan that we're working on at the moment. I should just say that a number of local transport authorities have already put together some very good local transport plans, and that my officials in the department will always be very happy to talk to any local authorities who, in advance of those documents being published, would like some advice. We have also, of course, got on and announced funding available for local transport authorities. And so we're not allowing the fact that guidance hasn't been published to stem the flow of money to get on and deliver local priorities.
Okay. In a recent evidence session, the committee heard from Lord Hendy, who said that the purpose of recent conversations across Shadow GBR is not to form another great beast like Network Rail. In my experience, Network Rail has not always been responsive to the infrastructure needs of constituencies like mine, as I was just saying. People need to be able to access rail services. As you were just saying, they also need to be able to live close to rail stations. We need to be able to expand the network and build around stations as well. So yeah, you touched on them there, but I suppose it would be helpful to understand some of the ways you think GBR will be able to operate differently to Network Rail and address some of this.
Yeah, I think what I was talking about, the role of the mayors in helping plan and manage the railways is going to be really important, because they will often be aware in their regions of the particular parts of the network where this is a critical issue. I suppose, though, I would say that I think that actually in setting up Great British Railways, I used this phrase earlier as well, we sort of do need to go back to basics. We need to make sure that this is an organisation which is responsive, accountable and firmly rooted in the communities that it serves. And, part of that is making sure that it is not this faceless beast of an organisation, but that we're working very, very closely with local leaders, and that's certainly the organisation that we want to build.
I think it also takes us back to the integrated national transport strategy and the importance of the word integrated in that, so that whatever mode of transport you start with, be it car, bike or bus, you can be confident wherever you live in the country that you can connect reliably.
Okay, thank you. Elsie.
Thanks, Chair. A lot of towns like Heywood and Middleton in my constituency have been disconnected from the rail network for far too long, with no rail stations in the city to sort of link us into the city region's economy. How do you think absorbing Network Rail into Great British Rail could unleash the sort of economic potential of towns like mine that have been held back by a lack of rail infrastructure?
Yeah, so, what's really interesting is looking at things like the Rail Network Enhancements programme within Network Rail, which often looks at improving, building new stations, improving accessibility at stations, also the frequency of services at existing stations and which areas they are ultimately terminating in. I think all of this can be looked at through Great British Railways. We have also set up, separately from Great British Railways, a new property development company bringing together the operations of London and Continental Railways and the property function within Network Rail to accelerate development around stations, because actually stations should be hubs of economic activity. And so I think there are lots of stations across the country, whether it's in Rotherham, Peterborough or Swindon in my own constituency, where there's huge potential, sometimes using land that is in public sector ownership immediately adjacent to the stations as well. So it's both about the physical infrastructure and services that are being run by the railways, but also unlocking that wider potential, which I think could be really important for towns like the one you represent and indeed the one that I represent.
Thanks, Secretary of State.